you get up to here.
Hi guys and gals, Shane Stevenson again with Lucas here at the Buffalo Naval Park, and we are on the 01 level right now, and again talking about kind of an area of drastic change during the Sullivans' time in service. In the 1940s, from 43 to about 54, up top on the 02 level on the aft superstructure, they would have had a twin Beaufort mount, and then the associated handling rooms and clipping rooms for that 40 millimeter. In 1954, they added the 3-inch 50s, and most importantly, our largest Cold War change that you'll see here is they removed Mount 53, the aft forward-facing 5-inch gun. Now Lucas has some more architectural stories and evidence of materials and changes, so let's take a look at that.
Right, so we think we've just about found where that old World War II material ends and that 1956, mid-50s Cold War material begins. But right here, we go from a mostly welded deck house to
take a look.
Now just a ton of rivets and a bunch of riveted stuff. So this is probably the addition to help, you know, just hold the much larger 3-inch 50s as opposed to the twin Beauforts.
Yeah. So this area here that we walked by is the original World War II. This was the end of that deck house, so to speak. Now you've got the riveting, and moving forward, you see all of this space for the Mark 56 3-inch 50 gun director. And what would we want to talk about that Mount 53, where we're kind of projecting that was where that was located.
Yeah, the back plate, I guess you would call it, the back plate of Mount 53 would have been somewhere around here, maybe in the middle of this door, and it would have gone all of the way forward to probably about where the bulkhead ends.
Yeah. So that's the size of the mount, and so now you have the front end of the mount, and then you have the barrel coming. It was 15 feet long, 7 feet outside of the mount, 7 feet in roughly, and so it's coming out to about here, right where that catwalk is, and a little bit over the quintuple torpedo tube that was there. So what we're looking at here is give you a little bit of the history of the quintuple torpedo tubes. As with every Fletcher, they would have had 2 quintuple or 5 tube torpedo tubes. There's one before, in between the forward stack and the aft stack, and then there was one here, and you can still see that mount ring, which is really cool. In around 1961, they finally removed this last quintuple when they added the Mark 32 torpedo triple ASW tubes that you see on port, like you're looking at now, and then there's also one on starboard. So what are you seeing here?
Well, this isn't the only evidence of the quintuple torpedo tubes. But if you look on the back of the stack, you've got this auxiliary vent that's kind of jutting out, and it jogs over to the left before going back up. And that's because that used to hold a torpedo director platform. And so it's jogging to the left to kind of avoid that space.
Yeah, so a lot of times our evidence that Lucas has worked with us on is weld marks and riveting to welding. This is almost showing the negative space of that torpedo gun director. That platform that would have been up here, that auxiliary vent is coming out. Oops, you got the torpedo director up there. You got to rotate to the left and then come up and go out. And there's also some welds, right, that you want to show?
So in addition to that negative space, we also have the welds that used to hold the support beams for that platform.
So what we're looking at is potentially 4.
Yeah, at the very least, this one in this corner, and there's another one over there in that corner.
So again, a lot of changes with the quarterdeck in our prior video on the 01 level when they brought in the Mark 56 gun director and the 3-inch 50s. Again, evolving with the threats from the Soviet Union during the Cold War and trying to build that best technology on a much older hull platform. And eventually by 1965, she was too obsolete. They couldn't make any more changes without changing the hull configuration and just the amount of space needed aboard, and they took her out of service. Well, Lucas, thanks so much for your expertise on this, as always. I'd like to thank you for checking it out. Please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, ring the bell, and Lucas and I will see you again soon.